Thank you.
Alexa, you have anything else for us?
Next question is like, did you work well together? How well did you work together? Like, if you wanted to rate it.
Well, I would say, I mean, for me personally, Trena made it really easy. You know, you just like I had a vision for the book. I mean, the most important thing was Snowy and Zoey remaining, you know, true to themselves from the first book. And so that was very important. And this is where Elena, the illustrator of the first book, came in, and we took it a step further because she's on another continent. And, and so she was in Europe. And then she was super responsive. And I think Trena and Elena worked well together to get, you know, Snowy and Zoey. But I felt it was seamless for me. I never really had an issue with anything that you suggested, Trena, or anything that I didn't, you know, even when I was maybe a bit nitpicky and I said, well, you know, I don't like this or I don't like that. You took feedback really, really well, which is quite rare in today's world. I don't know if it's our age. We both managed to maybe listen to each other, but you know, I've heard nightmare stories. You know, we never met in person, and so I've heard people where, you know, the job was dropped halfway through, or you know, they got into huge fights, and I don't think we ever. It never crossed my mind that I'm going to disagree, you know, with my illustrator at all. I mean, I don't know. What do you think?
For me, it was a true example of collaboration. And the fact that it did happen across 3 continents, I think is pretty phenomenal. But from the beginning, you know, we talked about requirements. We talked about what your vision was and what you wanted the book to look like. And then along the way, we had some other conversations. As I start, you know, giving you drawings, you gave me feedback, and I feel like it turned into a richer illustration than what we initially discussed. And I think at the end, we kept talking about how happy we both were with the results. So I would say, you know, it was the way we worked, and what made it successful, and I believe it is successful, is our willingness to listen to each other, to collaborate, you articulating to me what you wanted. And I appreciate your specific feedback, because when you gave me feedback, it wasn't like, oh, I don't like it. It was more like, is it possible for you to make this more 3D? And in my mind, I can envision that. And so I can make that happen. So I really appreciate the overall collaboration that we had in working together.
Yeah, me too. I think it's a perfect example of, you know, 2 people not knowing each other, but yet having, you know, a mutual vision, a mutual interest, a love and a passion for a project, and that it's doable and it works. And, you know, yeah, 100%. I totally agree with everything you said.
And I have another example that I just thought of recently. When we, the other passion that we had, I think, for this book was with respect to diversity and inclusion. And I used an American term, because this is my American centric, right? North American, United States, of DEI. And you said to me, you said, people in other countries are not going to know what that means. And I was like, oh yeah, that's true. I mean, we say it here so often, and worked in higher education. It was part of our culture. And it's like, oh yeah, I need to think about how to say that in a different way. So it really expanded my scope in thinking about how I present things, so that it's even, you know, more inclusive. So I appreciate that.
Alexa?
Well, from the pictures that I've seen, I feel like you have to work, like Trena had to work really well with Elena, so she could get the pictures from the last book to actually look the same. And I think it worked out pretty well. Like the pictures look the same.